I saw the message. I held the phone, but I didn't call. She was in the hospital, alone. And all she was waiting for was one phone call. You don't have to speak perfectly. You don't have to know how to comfort. You don't have to save anyone. But if someone matters to you, you have to be there. Text, call, show up. Because silence is also a choice. And if you choose silence, don't be surprised when silence is what you get back. One phone call might not change everything, but its absence can destroy everything. One click and you're with us, together until we hit our first 1,000. You know, people don't always die from pain. Sometimes from no one dialing their number. Sometimes from the room being too quiet. She was there, alone, and I just didn't know what to say. And now, all I hear inside is what the phone call I never made sounds like. I found out she was in the hospital, not from her. Someone forwarded me a photo. No hearts, no caption, just her on an IV drip in a hospital gown, with a face pretending everything's fine. I froze, not because it was unexpected, but because I realized she didn't tell me. I held the phone in my hand, just held it, finger on the screen, her name in my favorites list, and didn't press it. I didn't know what to say. How are you? Sounded stupid. I'm sorry. Too late. I'm here. A lie. I thought I'll wait a bit. When I find the right words, when there's a good moment, when everything inside becomes clearer. But the moment never came. The words never came. And inside, just static. Like something important inside me broke. And I didn't hear when. I imagined what it looked like. She's lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to someone in the hallway calling their family. And she has silence. No one visits, no one texts. And my call doesn't come. She used to write, "I'm scared alone. Hospitals suffocate me. Can we just talk, even about nothing?" And I would reply, "You'll handle it. You're strong. You're not alone, I'm with you." But now, I wasn't. The scariest part, I don't know why I didn't call. It wasn't anger, not resentment, not principle. It was inertia. Like if I just waited a little longer, everything would pass on its own. She would text first. She would handle it herself. And then I could come back. Without guilt, without drama. Just like nothing happened. But she didn't text. And I didn't call. And here we both are, in silence. Once I started dialing, pressed her name, ring, second ring, third, heart pounding wildly. And then I hung up. Not her, me. I hung up, as if I was afraid I'd hear in her voice everything I can't forgive myself for. The next day I got a message from her sister. "Everything's okay. She was discharged. Thanks for asking." I didn't reply, because that wasn't a question anymore. It was a period, and into that period I fell. She never said she was scared. She never talked like that. But she would make tea twice in a row, sit longer in the bathroom, and often look at her phone as if waiting for it to finally feel something. Once she said, "Sometimes I feel like if I disappeared, you wouldn't notice right away." "Don't disappear," he replied. "I'm just kidding." She smiled, but now he's not sure that it really was a joke and that he heard anything at all back then. Sometimes she would text him during the day, usually something simple. "How are you? Is it lunchtime? I just missed you." And he would reply late, sometimes after 2 hours. Sometimes he'd forget entirely. "Sorry, was busy. Let's talk tonight, okay?" "Sorry, my brain is fried." He thought she'd understand, that everything was fine, that it was just the day, just tiredness, just me. She asked to be close, not with words. She asked with gestures. Coffee with cinnamon when he didn't ask. A blanket while he was editing. A quiet "you home" 4 seconds after his message. He took it for granted, like atmosphere, like background. But now he understood. That was everything she knew how to call love. And now, in that very hospital, she didn't need speech. Not flowers, not explanations. One phone call, one voice, one "I'm here." He remembers that evening, how he sat with friends, laughing, telling them how he was tired of communicating, how he needed to disconnect from everyone. And then he saw a notification on his screen. "Lisa's in the hospital? Did you know?" And his heart suddenly clenched. He started calling everyone, except her, started checking social media, opening and closing messengers. But didn't call her, didn't press her name, because she's probably not in the mood. She didn't tell me herself, so she doesn't want me to know. I don't know what to say. It'll only make things worse. And now, it's worse. He opened their last conversation. Nothing special there, an ordinary day. "Don't forget to eat. I bought you a t-shirt. Send me a funny video, I'm sad." He didn't send one. He didn't buy flowers. He didn't call. Now all he has is pressing a contact that never happened. He saw a photo. Someone posted a story. She was leaving the hospital, walking down the hallway, in a hoodie, with a bag on her shoulder. No captions, no text, no hashtags, just walking, a lonely gait, straight back. And in that video, there was more meaning than in all the words he didn't say. He decided, I need to go. Just say it. That he was there, that he was afraid, that he was guilty. He didn't prepare a speech, didn't rehearse, just drove, with his pulse in his throat, and with thoughts that had long become heavy echo. You could have just called. Why did you choose silence? The door wasn't opened by her mom. "Hi." He hesitated. May I?" She wasn't surprised, didn't even look with condemnation, just sighed. "I'll call her now." He stood in the hallway, looking at the shelf where their photo together still stood, the one where they were laughing in the park, and she was holding his hand as if it was forever. Now, just a frame, dust, and emptiness between. When she came out, he almost didn't recognize her. Same clothes, same hairstyle. But in her eyes there was quiet, not anger, not sadness, but as if everything that once wanted to scream was already tired. He began, I know it's late, but I was there. I just didn't know what to do and didn't do anything. And now it sits in me like something foreign." She listened, silently, without words, like doctors listen to a pulse, without interfering. He continued, "I was afraid of making things worse, afraid that my voice would be unwanted, that you wouldn't have time for me. But now I understand. My voice was the only thing you were waiting for." She looked into his eyes, slowly, steadily, and said, "I called myself every day, even though I knew you wouldn't call, just so the sound wouldn't disappear." A pause. "But then I stopped, because I realized if silence is all you can give me, then I have to learn not to expect warmth from it." He lowered his head, because looking was more painful than hearing. She didn't ask for explanations, didn't ask questions, just added, "I'm glad you came. Really, it means you're still human, but not the one I can keep inside me anymore." He didn't know what to do after. She said everything without anger, without accusations, just like a period, written with a soft pencil. Her voice stayed in his ears, her eyes in his head, her "can't keep anymore" inside his chest, as if something was cut off. He walked home slowly, looking down, as if in the asphalt he could find what he once missed. There was a letter at the mailbox, not electronic, real, envelope without a stamp, thin, her handwriting on it. He recognized it immediately, though he hadn't seen it in a long time. Inside, one sheet, folded in half, wrinkled at the fold. He opened it and started reading. "I wrote this when I was lying in the ward. Not for you, for myself, so I wouldn't go crazy. I just wanted you to call, not to fix anything, not to get back together, but so I wouldn't feel like the only person in the world that no one looks for. I stared at the phone until I fell asleep. I woke up and still stared. Sometimes, when the IV dripped, I imagined it was you breathing, just somewhere nearby. But you didn't come, and that was my lesson. People don't have to be there, even if you're dying from wanting them to be. I let you go that very night. Not because I don't love you, but because you can't hold on to something that's afraid to touch. He reread it, once, twice, 3 times, then carefully folded the sheet back, put it in the drawer, closed it, and sat down. The room was absolutely quiet, as if all the air knew there was no need to speak, that here was only someone who had been silent too long. He took his phone, opened notes, wrote 1 line. I wasn't a bad person. I was just not close enough when I needed to be there. He pressed save. But the feeling was as if it didn't matter anymore. Not because it was too late, but because everything had already been said without words. Several weeks passed. No one called. Nothing happened. That's exactly what was scary. Because life doesn't scream when you lose someone for real. It just goes on. Without scenes. Without storms. Without come back. He sat in the park, there where they once walked together, on that very bench. Only now. He sat alone, with his phone in his hand, which hadn't vibrated from her name in a long time. He opened the chat, that very one, where there were her, how are you? Her, did you eat? Her, I just missed you. He didn't delete them, because these were the last words where she was alive, not just physically, but inside, in that I'm here, even if I'm silent. He pressed create message and started typing, not to send, so he wouldn't go crazy. I knew you were waiting. I felt it. I just hid behind the phrase, don't want to bother you. Though the truth was, I was just afraid of your pain. And now I live in my own. He didn't press send. He just closed the screen. Sometimes he heard a voice in his head, as if she was saying, if you had dialed then, I would have answered, even without words, even with tears, just so you would be there. But now, be there, without me. He returned home, took off his shoes, stood in the hallway, then went to the kitchen, opened the drawer, took out the letter, unfolded it, read it again, slowly, with pain that couldn't be stopped anymore. He sat down and understood. All she needed was a phone call. One, not perfect, not ideal, just for him to be there.